Have you ever felt lost? Not just unsure of your path, but unsure of yourself? Like the person you've always been, no longer fits in the world you've always known. It feels like something is falling apart. But what if that's the point? What if the version of you that feels lost isn't who you truly are, but a version that's meant to die? We're taught to fear confusion, to see uncertainty as weakness. But in many ancient traditions, confusion is a sacred sign, a sign that you're finally breaking free. Think about it. If your life is built on who others told you to be, then wouldn't becoming your true self first feel like getting lost? That discomfort you're feeling, that sense of not knowing who you are anymore, it's not the beginning of the end, it's the beginning of a beginning. The version of you that feels lost is the mask you've worn for years, built by expectations, roles, and fears, and now that mask is cracking. This is not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough, and you're not losing yourself. You're outgrowing who you're not. From the moment you were born, you were told who you should be. Be polite, be strong, be quiet, be successful, follow the rules, don't ask too many questions, fit in, and so you did. You learned how to survive by becoming what the world wanted, but deep inside, you knew something was missing. A quiet voice whispered, "This isn't all there is." Psychologists call it a persona, a mask we wear to please, to protect, to perform. But behind that mask is a forgotten self, the one you abandoned to be accepted. Ancient teachings call this illusion Maya, a dream we mistake for reality. You didn't build your identity alone. You inherited it, you absorbed it, and now it's cracking. Feeling lost is what happens when the false self stops working and the real you starts knocking. There's a reason so many spiritual stories begin with darkness. Before awakening comes emptiness. Before the light, the void. Mystics have spoken of it for centuries, the dark night of the soul, a time when everything familiar falls away and nothing makes sense. But here's the truth. That emptiness isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. It's the space where the old self dies and where something sacred begins to grow. The Buddha called it sunyata, the great emptiness. Rumi wrote, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. What feels like falling apart may actually be falling open. Let the emptiness do its work. Let it clear out what no longer serves. Only then can truth take root." Real change doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from letting go. Letting go of who you think you are. Letting go of who you were told to be. Letting go so something deeper can rise. Throughout time, people have faced this inner death. The myths tell us the hero must go underground. The old must burn so the new can rise. This is not weakness. This is sacred surrender. You're not giving up. You're giving in to the natural death of a false self. Let yourself fall. Let yourself unravel. Because that's where the real you is waiting to emerge. And then, something shifts. It's quiet, subtle, but real. You feel a calm you've never known. Not because everything makes sense, but because you've stopped pretending. This is the rebirth, not of a new image, but of the real you. The soul doesn't shout, it whispers. And now, for the first time, you can hear it. You're not here to be what the world wants. You're here to be what your soul already is. The ancient sages spoke of the Atman, the true self beyond roles and form. It cannot be broken, it cannot be lost, it can only be remembered. You're not building a new self, you're returning to what you've always been. But just as the light starts to shine, the old self knocks again. It whispers, "This is too much, too risky, too different." And for a moment, you might believe it. You might return to the familiar pain, because at least it's familiar. Plato once wrote of people chained in a cave, mistaking shadows for truth. When one escaped into the light, he saw the real world. But when he returned to free the others, they mocked him and chose the shadows. Truth can be lonely, but it's real. Be kind to yourself. Stay awake. Don't rush back to what broke you, just because healing feels unfamiliar. Here's the final revelation. You were never truly lost. You were shedding, burning, breaking, open. What felt like the end was a sacred undoing, a deep clearing to remember who you really are, the version of you that felt lost. That was the illusion. And now, it's dying. Let it fall. Let it rot. Let it dissolve in the light of who you are becoming, because beneath all the noise, all the pretending, all the fear, you remain still, quiet, true. So now, who is watching? Who is left when the one who felt lost is gone? Let that question stay with you. Let it echo, not to answer it, but to live it. Because the truth isn't something you find, it's something that finds you. When you're finally willing to let the old self die. What if feeling lost isn't a problem? What if it's the first sign that something deeper is waking up? Most people think confusion means failure. That if you're lost, you're broken, behind, falling apart. But here's a secret almost no one tells you. The feeling of being lost is often the beginning of a transformation. It's not that you've gone the wrong way, it's that the map you were following no longer applies. And maybe that's because you're not meant to stay the same. Maybe the version of you that feels lost is dying, because it has to. What if this pain is not here to break you but to burn away everything that no longer belongs? Like a snake shedding its skin, like a forest fire clearing the old for something wild and new. What if your confusion is sacred? This isn't about fixing yourself. It's about releasing the self that was never truly you. So don't run from the lostness. Let it open you. Let it take you somewhere your old self never dared to go. Because maybe, just maybe, you're not lost at all. Maybe you're being reborn. Who are you when the labels fall away? When the career doesn't fit anymore? When the roles, the titles, the expectations collapse? Who are you then? This is where most people panic. Because we've built our identity like a fortress, safe, predictable, approved by the world, but eventually, the cracks begin to show. The version of you built to survive, the one built on fear, validation, and control, starts to crumble. And it feels like death. Because in many ways it is. Spiritual traditions knew this well. In Buddhism, they speak of the ego, the small self, clinging to illusions. In Jungian psychology, this ego resists integration. It resists evolution. But you cannot grow and stay the same. And that feeling of being lost is just your soul, refusing to shrink any further. We see this in myths. In the hero's journey, first comes the collapse, the exile, the dark cave, but it's not a mistake, it's the beginning. The truth is, the old version of you can't follow you into the life you're meant to live, so let it fall. Let it break. Let the false self die. Because what's dying isn't you. What's dying is the cage. There's a moment in every deep transformation where the light disappears. It's called the dark night of the soul, not a metaphor, not a mood, but a real spiritual process. St. John of the Cross spoke of it as a holy emptiness, a time when even God seems silent, when meaning dissolves, when you are stripped of everything that once made sense. It's terrifying. And yet, this darkness is sacred, because this is where the ego loses its grip. This is where the soul begins to speak. You may feel abandoned, but you are not. You are being emptied, so that something true can finally enter. The mystics knew this. They walked through the void, not around it. Rumi wrote, "Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form. And science. Even science tells us this is how transformation happens. Old neural pathways break down. New ones don't form immediately. There's a gap, a silence, a wilderness. But this emptiness is not a grave, it's a womb. You are not ending, you are beginning again. From truth this time. So don't rush to escape it. Sit in the dark long enough, and you'll start to glow. What if being lost is just being in unfamiliar territory? We panic when the map disappears, but maybe that's because we trusted the map more than we trusted ourselves. Every story you believed about who you are, what success means, how the world works, was just a framework, a container, and sometimes the container cracks. Not